Trying to get your loudness out of the way?
Hmm?
Trying to get your loudness out of the way?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning. Double sound. I have an echo and I'm not sure why. Okay, maybe that will help. Seems better. Okay, I am logging on just a minute early. I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is going to be a longer training today. We are talking all things events. And so I have a lot of details for you and a lot of information to share with you. And I am not going to look at comments right now because I have a lot of stuff I want to get through. And then I will come back and answer questions and look in the comments and make sure that anything that you have questions or you need additional information on, that I'm answering your questions for you. So let's get started. Can you hear me now, you guys? Carden, did you say you can't hear on Facebook? Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Let me know. I have comments on my phone, so I can at least check over there. Okay, perfect. All right, let's get started. So this morning we are going to talk about events, and I have lots of information to share with you. This is something that I have done for a long time. I was thinking about this morning as I was preparing, and I would not say that like I built my whole business with events, but events were always something that I did consistently in my business that were a part of a successful business. And so I think that it's really important. I don't think everybody has to do events, but I think that it is a really great way to continue expanding the top of your funnel, right? So something that I was thinking about this morning was really building your business and expecting friends and family to support you, and how that's, number one, not very realistic, because most often, more times than not, they don't. Some do, a percentage do, and it's great if you have friends and family who support you, but I would not say that most really successful social sellers have built a big business based on their friends and family supporting them. It's kind of a bonus. And so events is a way for you to get outside of your warm market, outside of those friends and family, and kind of let go of that expectation or desire for friends and family to support you. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting that, but I think that it is a healthier mindset to approach your business, understanding that nobody has an obligation to support or buy from your business, and your job is to go figure out how to build a successful business, whether they support support you and buy from you or not. Because most of the time, we can't rely on friends and family to build and run and promote and share and buy and really be the foundation of success in this type of business. It's just not the reality of what happens. So if you do have friends and family who support your business, that's a huge bonus. Make sure that you're really appreciative and you treat them like gold. And that you also still treat them like a customer. Don't treat them less than you would treat a regular customer because you already have that relationship with them. But I would just encourage anyone who feels discouraged by the fact that your friends and family don't support your business, that is normal and it's not a reflection of you, what you're doing, or the brand. It's just normal, unfortunately. So let's talk about getting started with events and your mindset when it comes to introducing a new brand. So this is something that I think is super important. I call this like a silver lining mindset. And I think that this mindset is something that helped me be able to see the big picture and keep pushing forward for a long time to build towards a successful business. One of the biggest things that I see as a problem in direct selling and social selling in general, when it comes to people not being able to find the success that they want, is that they give up very quickly, or they're not resilient to get through what might be considered the failures in this industry. And that means when you go to a party and you have one person show up, it's not fun. That can be extremely discouraging and hard. And there are a lot of people who have one experience like that and give up. And so going into events, I need you to have the mindset that you're always looking for the silver lining of any event that you do. Because if you go into events with an expectation that you're going to recruit 10 people and you're going to sell $5,000 worth of product and you're going to add 50 new people to your VIP group, and that doesn't happen, you have to be able to move past it. So that resilience and ability to find the silver lining of events is really key. And this is even more important when it's a new brand, because you are introducing a brand to the market. So if you're coming from a company, I'm going to talk to two people. People who are coming from previous brands and have done events before and have event expectations. People who have never done events before and you're like, I really just don't know anything about events and I want to know how to get started. I will talk to both of you today. When it comes to mindset, if you're new, you've never done events before, and you want to see how you can add that as a stream of income within your aligned business, you have to have a silver lining mindset. You have to have appropriate expectations based on the event for what your expectations are, set goals, and be willing to be resilient and learn from the event and take the good and leave the bad and move on. You cannot go do an event and have it be a total bomb and then decide you're never going to do events again and they're not worth your time and events don't work and nobody loves the line. Like, that's just not the real story when it comes to introducing a new brand to the market, especially if you've never done events before. Like, you have to learn and build up that skill of adding this as a pillar to your business. And once you get it and you've learned it and you've come up with a system and you know the events that work for you, it can be a really huge benefit to your business, but you have to get there first. And that doesn't just happen overnight. If you're coming from a previous brand and you've done events before, especially if that brand was recognized, okay? So I'm going to name a few: Synagents, Pampered Chef, Tastefully Simple, Perfectly Posh, Mary Kay. Those are people who can show up at an event, hang a banner up, and everybody who walks by, for the most part, Scentsy, they know that brand. Okay, they've heard of that brand. It will still blow your mind when you do events, if you do events for a long time. I have done events for 15 years now, that there will still be someone who has never heard of that brand, even if it's Scentsy. Like, I think maybe my last event was maybe 2 years ago, and it's mind-boggling to me that people haven't heard of Scentsy. but it really does show you the opportunity to continuously be getting new customers and introducing new people to a brand and to products, because people still don't know Scentsy. Hopefully everybody knows Mary Kate at this point, or Pampered Chef at this point, because those companies have been around for decades. But Align has been around for 6 months. I can almost guarantee you that when you walk into events, nobody has any idea what Align is. They don't know the brand. They don't know what it's about. They don't know our values. They don't know what type of products we have. And they will frequently walk up to your table and say, what is this? And you have to have an answer to that. So coming up with your kind of 30-second infomercial of what Align is something that will really help you, because you are introducing a brand new brand to the market. And that means you have to have appropriate expectations as a new brand. Okay. So if you're my person who's done events before with a brand that is recognizable, you need to shift and adjust your expectations for events, because introducing a brand at events is completely different than showing up at an event and selling products that are recognizable to people who already know what they are. It's completely different, and it takes years to get to the point where your brand that you introduced and you as the person at that event become recognizable. I was talking to Darlene the other day, and she said she met someone on her cruise that she was on most recently who knew me from an event in Kansas City. That did not happen because I showed up to an event one time in Kansas City. I don't even live in Kansas City. I live in Oklahoma. But I did events with Sarah in Kansas City for years, like probably 8 years, that we did several of the same events in Kansas City. That's how long it takes. But you know what? By the end of that 8 years, we knew what events we wanted to do, which events were worth our time. We had a system. We could do it in our sleep. We probably needed more sleep because events can be very exhausting. And they were successful. We sold a lot of product. We recruited people at every time, and people knew us. They came to our booth. They knew where our booth was. They knew what products they wanted. They remembered us from prior years, but that does not happen overnight. It's a process to scale up to that point. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I told Shanae I'm going to be on for an hour because I could talk about events for several hours, and I'm condensing it into an hour. So the first thing is mindset. We're introducing a new brand. You need to have appropriate expectations for what that looks like. And what that means is you are going to have to literally pitch the brand to every single person who shows up at your table and introduce them and explain what Align is. What would you say? Write that down. That's something you need to figure out ahead of showing up at the event. So I did not prepare this. I have lots of notes, but I did not prepare like a 30-second pitch, but I'll do it off the cuff. If someone walked up to me right now and I'm at a table, I have all my pretty stuff set up, I'm representing Align, and they say, so what is this? What would I say? I would say, oh, Align is a new social selling brand. We just launched this year. We're looking for more affiliates and more ambassadors here in your area, and we sell bath, body, and beauty products. We're completely female funded and founded. We were started by 3 people who started in this industry as brand ambassadors, just like I am out here sharing the products. And they wanted to do social selling different and better. And so they created their own brand and their own products. And that's what I'm here selling. So I have some of our bath and body products here to share with you today, and I would love for you to try them. Off the cuff. Okay. You can tweak that and make it whatever works for you. You can talk more about yourself. You can talk more about the brand. What is your goal at that event? My goal was always team building. And that goes for my entire business for over a decade. I always led my business from team building and then selling. So I didn't approach events where my top priority was selling product. Did I want to sell product? Yes. Was I prepared to sell product? Yes. But my goal was team building first. So my pitch is going to be more aimed at team building and then products. Maybe that's the opposite for you. Maybe you're someone who never wants to build a team and you just want to be one of our top sellers and sell a lot of product. Start with the product. Talk about the ingredients. We're naturally based. We don't have ABCD. I suggest a banner that says all the things we don't have, so you don't have to repeat that every single time. And we have these types of products. Would you like to try a hand cream? Okay, so you can customize your pitch to what your goal is at that event, but you've got to have one ready. Okay, what is your other goal and your mindset when it comes to events when you're introducing a brand? 100% your goal has to be finding the silver lining, which means looking for the things that are not necessarily ROI. So when you are first getting started in events, especially when you're introducing a new brand, they are probably not going to be an amazing return on your investment. So if you go into them with a very realistic expectation of that, you're going to feel better when you leave at the end of the event. You don't have these crazy high expectations that are then not met and you're really defeated and down on yourself, right? So what I would recommend is that you treat events as the top of your funnel. So this goes back to our aligned sales system. Your goal is always to be expanding that big top of funnel, the number of people at the top of your funnel that you're connecting with, that know you, that you have introduced to Align. That doesn't mean they're all going to join. It doesn't mean they're all going to shop. It's making connections and adding new people to your funnel. So those people you have to be getting contact information. You have to be connecting with them and be able to follow up with them after the event to keep them in your funnel. If you're going to go to an event and your only goal is to sell product and you don't get anyone's information, you never talk to them again, and you don't connect with them via email, via text, via your sales system, putting them in your funnel, getting them in your group, friending them on Facebook, having them follow you on social media, whatever your tactic is, if you're not doing that, don't waste your time. Just to be completely honest, because it will give you a short-term hit of sales, but with a new brand, the sales that you're going to get may not be worth it. You cannot go into it with that mindset. Now, 5 years from now, when everybody knows Align and you've got 10 people who want to walk up and say, I want to clarify and I need to restock on Soothe, that's up to you. Do you want to treat it just as that one-day opportunity to get sales? You do you. But I'm telling you that in the long run, the best thing you can do is treat events as an opportunity to connect with new people that are not in your warm market, that are not your friends and family, and learn how to get them into the top of your funnel and convert them into a customer or a new team member. So that is the mindset around events. So when I talk about having a silver lining mindset, that means you have to go into events willing to take some hits and willing to have what I would call some failures. Every event is not going to be a success. It's kind of a numbers game. And you're going to have to basically vet an event, try it on, go do the event and decide, is this an event that's worth my time? Is it something I want to keep on my calendar going forward? Or did I try it? Not worth it. It really just depends event to event, but you will find those gems that are absolutely worth your time and really beneficial to your business. But it takes time and it takes effort and it takes some investment because events are not free. Usually we'll talk about some free events that you can do. Most of the time they're not free. So you have to go into it that it's an investment. You're willing to write it off and you're willing to look at the silver lining and understand that you may not sell anything. You may not recruit anyone, but your goal is to connect with how many people. And you have to have that expectation based on the size of the event. If you're doing a big event, maybe your goal is to connect with 100 new people and add 100 people to the top of your funnel. The majority of direct sellers never have 100 people in their funnel ever. So it's a big deal and it's a big opportunity to be able to add that to your number of contacts and to your funnel. But if you're going to go do an event that costs $10 at the community center and you have no idea if anyone's going to show up, you can't have the expectation that you're going to have 100 new contacts from that event, right? It has to be like the appropriate expectation for the type of event that you're doing, the size of the event, what you've heard from other vendors, their success at that event, if it's a good event, if it's bad, if it's new, if it's established. The cost, unfortunately, is usually somewhat not equal, but more expensive events generally result in higher sales because they're big events that a lot of people go to. That doesn't mean that it's right for your business right in the beginning when you're introducing a brand. So that's just kind of my like synopsis on the mindset of events, because I think that in direct sales, for a long time, it becomes an easy thing for people to say like, oh, well, you should go to events. Well, there's a lot that goes into events, and there's a lot of cost, time, effort, work that goes into events. And so I want to fully prepare you for everything that I can share about events so that you can go into event season with the right mindset and decide if adding events to your aligned business is right for you or not. It's not right for everyone, and that's okay, but it can be a really strong part of your business if you figure it out and you put the time and the effort into it. So let's talk about selling products. Actually, I'm going to switch. I had that first, but let's talk about finding events because that makes more sense to talk about first. Okay, so let's talk about finding events. Number one recommendation that I can give you is to talk to other direct sellers in your area who do events. This means you're going to have to start paying attention. Something I did every year without fail in my business around this time is I would post on my Facebook page and I would say, hey, it's event season is coming. I love to share X brand at events. If you know of any craft fairs, church shows, bazaars, work, networking nights, fairs, or events that you love to go to as a customer, I would love to hear about them. Or if you're connected with someone at an event, please reach out to me and let me know. I would love to show up and share my brand there. Just that general post every year would get me a couple new leads of new events to look at. There are event listings online that you can look at. You can look at, I'll have to find the one that Sarah and I used to use actually. There's one that will tell you some of the bigger events and like fair type events in your area. You can look it up by state, look it up in your city. I would not expect to only stay in your town or your city. Depends on where you live, right? If you're in a little tiny town, you might have to go into the city. If you're close to a city, your city might be good for events or it might not be great for events. We live outside of Oklahoma City, and honestly, Oklahoma City events are not that hot. Like, they're okay. There are a few that I would recommend to people, but they're just not, we're not an event heavy area where they're like awesome. The reason that someone remembered us from Kansas City is because Kansas City is a really great event town. They have lots of big events. People show up for them. They're very successful. So that is something that you'll have to figure out as you go. So ask on your Facebook page for recommendations and referrals to events. Look online, see what events you can find. You can search Facebook or Google like craft fair or church show or bazaar or fair in your area, or craft event, and just literally Google your area and find the actual shows first, and then you can go find their contact information and reach out. Are you rebooked? How much does it cost? Are you still taking people? One big pro to being a newbie, a new brand, is nobody is representing a line at these events yet. So the pro of introducing a new brand is you can get in easier to events because you have something different and you're a new brand and you're not competing with thousands of other ambassadors who are all trying to book the same event. And if you get into these events now and you're a great vendor and you show up early and your setup is beautiful and you don't break down early and you are really friendly and you're easy to work with, those event coordinators will stay loyal to you for the most part. Can't speak for all of them. And they will let you book time and time and time again. And that makes your job easier as the years go on, because you don't have to go find all these new events every single time. You're going to know the events that work well for you. You're going to rebook them a year ahead of time while you're still at the event. And your calendar for next October, November, December, March, June is already going to have some fill in there from these events that you have become loyal to, and they've become loyal to you. So where else can you find events? I would look for some free events when I said that we were going to talk about that. For this, I would say there's always, in my experience, those people who have like holiday open houses at their house. There's always businesses who are having networking hours or girls' night out or some sort of little customer appreciation event. Those are oftentimes free. To me, that was almost always worth my time showing up because it didn't cost me anything. Like, you want me to show up at the melting pot for girls' night out and set up a table and spend 2 hours here? That cost me my time of maybe 3 to 3.5 hours for the potential of getting new connections, new people to add to my funnel, people outside of my warm market, and maybe I get a recruit, maybe I get some sales. That was always worth it to me. So definitely open your eyes up for free events, and don't be afraid to reach out to them too. Salons, estheticians, local networking groups, coffee shops, any place like that where they're going to have a customer appreciation type event. Boutiques would be a really, really good one for a line, because if it's a cute little clothing boutique and they're doing some sort of customer appreciation cocktail event or something, you can come set up and bring something different to the table. Think about what experience you can offer if you're seeking out some free events like that. So one thing that's coming later this month is our water, scalp, and body scrub. You can do hand scrubs, right? You can do like a scrub experience, or you can do a little mini sample set and say that you're going to give away 25, luxury sample sets. You can add something to their swag bag, even if it's just samples, or even if it's one Luxe washcloth and you're willing to add one and add your contact information on there. It's got to be a win-win for businesses when they're doing something for free. They're looking for things to entertain their clients. They're looking for people who are willing to come show up and kind of amplify that event and make it more interesting and more of an experience for their clients. So think about what you can offer in return. I don't ever give away lots of freebies. I'm going to take water because we're going at it. I'm not someone who would give away a big deluxe sample set to 100 swag bags. Like, no way. That's expensive. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever gotten a bag full of freebies, 98% of it goes in the trash at my house. And I don't want you spending your time and money that way. So if you need to do some sort of giveaway for a swag bag that is more quantity wise, I always recommend some sort of coupon, because you can literally print it out. And if you want to attach one sample to it, great. That's easy. A sample is probably going to get used more than a coupon in a bag full of other stuff, but a coupon costs you not a lot. So don't go crazy giving out tons of free stuff. Even at your table, I wouldn't recommend that. I would give out a coupon or have a show special. So you can do like contact me or join my group using this QR code on this coupon, and I will give you 10% off on your first order. Guess what? We give them 10% off on their first order. That costs you nothing, but you're using what we're offering to give someone that special to engage with you and connect with you. Finding events. What else? Start small and be willing to scale up. Okay. So I do not recommend, if you've never done an event before, that you go book your state fair. Like, do not recommend. It is a ton of work. It is expensive. And like I said, we're introducing a new brand, so nobody knows what a line is. And I would hate for anyone to get in over their head with really big scale events when you've never done it before and spend thousands of dollars and be really frustrated. So if you've never done events before, start small, scale up. $25, $50, $75. Maybe the max that you're willing to spend is $100 for an event. There's nothing wrong with that. Put on your thinking cap, get creative, ask for referrals, look for the people hosting those free open houses, go connect with businesses on offer to help them with their customer appreciation events. And you can get a lot of events for not a lot of money. If you're someone who has done big events before with another brand, you need to just evaluate the pros and cons of getting into some of those big events early, because there's a lot of them out there that are very successful, but you have to go into the mindset that you're introducing a new brand and you're not going to have the same level of sales that you did with a very well established brand that everybody recognizes. So that's it for finding events. Understand that you are investing in the cost to do an event and that it may not be profitable right away. So this is something that I think you just have to have an understanding of. When people would book an event that costs $100 and maybe they sold $200 worth of product and they're like, well, with my commission, I didn't even pay my booth rent. Accurate. They're probably not going to be a profitable ROI right in the beginning. So again, you have to decide as a business owner if it's worth it to you to expand that funnel and make those connections. Maybe you get a new team member. Is that worth your $100? That $100 is an investment in your business that you're going to write off. I would not immediately expect the sales from an event, introducing a new brand, to pay for your booth rent. It's an investment, it's a write-off. What else? When it comes to finding events, you have to try them on. Try an event on, measure your results, and then decide to return or not. And there's a lot of different aspects that go into this. Maybe it's an event that has like a cause that's really important to you. So for you, it's okay if it's not the most profitable, measurable result type event because you want to support that cause. We have a like pampered pets show here that I did for several years for an animal shelter, or not shelter, you know what I mean, rescue, like an animal rescue group. Did I like sell my pants off and like get the best return for my investment from doing that event every year? No, but I liked the organization and I wanted to represent my brand there and I was happy to do it. It was a little bit of a community thing for me. There's other events that I've done. I did a outside event in August that was 4 days long. I think it only cost like $150. Did not sell things, did not recruit, and literally almost melted in the Oklahoma heat in August outside. Never again. Like that event was not worth my time, effort, gas, all the things that went into that event. So you just have to try events on, measure the results. Is it worth it? And decide to return next year or not. And then always make sure that you're securing the best events, and even events that just have a lot of potential. Maybe the first year you do them, they're not like a knockout success, but you can tell, hey, this is a busy event. There's a lot of people here. People are buying, but I'm still introducing this new brand and people are not quite picking up what I'm putting down yet. That might be an event that you want to secure and book again next year and try it another year and see how it goes. There's also events that are going to be really great, and then the next year they're not really great. You have to evaluate what you are offering. Did people know about your brand? Was it worth your time? And decide if you want to book that event again or not. Okay, now let's talk about selling products at events. So you found your events, you're ready to get started. How are you going to sell products? Are you going to do cash and carry? Are you going to have products on hand? Or are you going to take orders? I can tell you right now that from a vendor organizer, they want you to have cash and carry. They would prefer that you show up with products that people can buy right then and take home. They don't have to worry about the liability of you taking a bunch of people's money and a bunch of orders and not delivering on those products, because unfortunately that happens. I am pro cash and carry with reason. So again, I am not someone who is going to recommend that you go spend thousands and thousands of dollars or have a garage full of product to do craft fairs. Like, you don't need all that. I think that you can be smart about having cash and carry, but I do think that you sell more, which helps your bottom line, helps your ROI when you have some cash and carry on hand. Now, I'm really picky about cash and carry. I don't stock everything. Even a line, I would not stock every single product that we have. And I would know my best sellers. What do I love? What am I passionate about? What do I love to sell? I'm gonna have a little bit more of that. What is seasonally appropriate? So we're coming out of summer. It's still really hot. It is hard to sell body butter, even though water smells amazing and it's a bestseller. In my experience, it is hard to sell body butter in the middle of summer in Oklahoma because it is so hot. Now, get into October, November, December, you're going to sell body butter all day long because it smells amazing. It feels amazing. People can try it right there and they want to just be able to take one with them and grab it, buy it, and move on. So be picky about the products that you're offering. For me personally, looking at what we have at Align right now, definitely hand creams, definitely body butter. Going into the fall selling season, definitely holiday products, which will be coming in October. So you'll have time to get them before a lot of your holiday events. Some skincare. So I would have some Clarify, some Calm, some Soothe. Which cleanser do you love? Which one do you talk about like passionately? Have a little bit more of that one and a little bit less of your other one, probably. Renew, less. Specialty skincare products you're going to sell less of than your basics. Shower affirmation cards, very good. You might consider breaking stuff up into little grab and goes. So maybe you just sell shower affirmation cards for $2 each and you upsell them. You can take them out of the package, you can have them in a cute little bowl. And when someone grabs 2 hand creams, like, oh, do you want to add 2 shower affirmation cards so that you can package it together? It looks really cute that way. You have to upsell. What else? Oh, I wanted to talk about body versus skincare at events. In my experience, body is an easier sell at events. People are a little less likely to switch their skincare if they haven't tried it. So I would personally have more body products. I think the scrub, when it comes out, will be great for events. And you've got the set with the body butter. You will be able to sell those together. And then the hand creams are great. Holiday is great. Luxe is something that I would break up maybe. So I would have a few boxes, but maybe you have some that are available individually. And if someone buys skincare, you offer to upsell that individual Luxe so they can try it. You can also do a show special on something like that. So if someone buys the Abundance Bundle and they're willing to order it, you give them something free to take home that day, like a Luxe. That could be a show special that you offer. So let's talk about the red light wand, because Shanae and I were talking about the red light wand this morning, and we're focused on it so much this month, but I really wanted to talk about it at events. I would 100% bring my red light wand. I would 100% demo my red light wand. I would 100% have some great before and after pictures or an iPad set up with some before and afters of some of our ambassadors and customers who've gotten good results from the red light wand. I would not stock up on 15 red light wands to take to an event. I would have less of those. And again, this depends on the size of your event. If you know me at all, or you will hear this from me for years and years to come, I always talk about ShamWow products. And these are products that people can see and try and feel. The red light wand is that. So it's just the balance, because it's a more expensive product, of knowing that you're not going to sell a red light wand to every single person, but it is a great product to demo. You can put a dab of Renew on their hand. You can let them try it. They can see how it feels. Make sure you have some way to sanitary, clean it off afterwards between people. But I would have a couple. Okay, so I'm not going to stock up on 25 red light wands. Like, that's a lot. That's a big investment. But I would probably have 3 to 5 for smaller events, so that I had some on hand to sell. And they're not going to go bad, right? Like, they're not going to expire like a product that's sitting on your shelf. 'Tis the season to get them while they're on a great deal. So right now we have the Power Duo on sale. If you pay attention to Shanae's calendar, you will see that the red light wand will be on special later in the month on its own. You got to be smart and think ahead. If you want to have some red light wand on hand for events, get it while it's a good deal. Because then when you're at that event, let's say you get the Power Duo for $128 and the red light wand itself retails for $140, right? You basically now have a red light wand that's worth $140 that you can offer at a show special for $120. Okay, that gives people a reason to buy today. Do you love this? It feels great. Here's all the benefits. Look at the before and afters. Here, try it. Doesn't it feel great? You can get this today. I only have 2 left for $120, or when you go buy it on my website, it's $140. Then you have your Renew that essentially you paid $8 for. That's a great way to stock up on a couple of Renews to take to events. It retails for $38. Maybe you say your show special is $32, okay, or $28, whatever you want to. You paid $8 and got commission back on that Renew. So it cost you what, $6? If you go sell it for $28, you still made a really good profit on it. So that is how you can use specials to offer things like the red light wand without spending tons of money stocking up on something that is a higher price point. Also, know your event. If you're doing a little tiny church craft fair and you got little old ladies shopping who think that, everything is expensive, red light wand may not be your best seller. But if you're doing a big women's expo and your target market between the ages of 30 and 55 are going to be there, and they're looking for anti-aging products, and they're looking for those different, unique, giftable products in the fall heading into holiday season, you might want to have more red light wand. So that's how I would handle the red light wand. Okay, next up, doing events by yourself or sharing and doing events together.
Culture Radio on Amazon Music.
Alexa, turn off. So do you want to do events by yourself or do you want to share? If you're doing smaller events, I recommend that you do them by yourself or with a family helper. Maybe your teen, maybe your daughter, maybe your husband helps you. Completely up to you. It can be a little tricky to do events completely by yourself just because you can't really leave your table unless you're real good at making friends with your neighbors and you ask them for help. You need a bathroom break. It just depends on how big or how long the event is. When it comes to larger events, as you're scaling up, or maybe you want to go try a bigger event in your area, I highly recommend you find an event buddy. Okay, Sarah was my event buddy. We had another event buddy that we did our Oklahoma State Fair with, and I would never do those big products or big events by myself. Like, no, thank you. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a big investment. Splitting it automatically takes a lot of the pressure off. So that person does not have to be on your team. If you have someone in your area who's another ambassador, pair up and do these bigger events together as you scale up. So really quickly, I won't spend a ton of time on this because I don't think most of you are going to be doing big events that you need to share yet, but a little bit on how we did that. Split your booth rent evenly, okay? And when I talk about big events, like we had events that we paid a lot for. So if we had an event that was $1,000 for booth rent, we split that 50-50 if it was Sarah and I. Then you need to decide on inventory. Are you someone who already has inventory on hand? Is the person you're doing that event with, do they have inventory on hand? What do you already have? Talk through the products that I just talked about. What are you going to sell? What do you think is going to sell well? And come up with a plan of how much inventory you think you need of what products, okay? If you need help with this, or you find yourself booking an event and you're like, I have no idea, like, you really can reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about events. So decide on your inventory plan, and then you can either split it evenly. So let's say you need $1,000 in inventory and there's two of you. You can either both come with $500 in inventory, or maybe that's not realistic. Maybe one of you already has $600 in inventory and one of you has none. How do you make that equal? What we would do is we never came in equal. Like, we would come up with a plan of how much we needed, and then we would look at what we had. So let's say we knew we needed 10 clarifies and 10 soothes, and Sarah had 8 clarifies and I had 3. Boom, we got our 10. Sarah had 2 soothes and I had 3. We need 5 more. Who needs to order that? That's where you decide, like, well, I have $200 to invest. I can order A, B, and C, and maybe you have $300 to invest. You order X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you just have to figure that out. Are you splitting everything really equally, or are you just coming up with a plan and figuring out who can realistically afford the inventory or what they already have and make that plan? How you manage that when you're doing an event together is you label all of your products. You label everything. So I don't have this on hand because I'm sure I'm out of everything. But you can get little teeny tiny labels that will fit right here. You can just put it right over this barcode. You don't need this barcode when you're selling cash and carry. This is for our 3PL, our shipping partner. So you really can get a little teeny tiny label that has your name, maybe your phone number, and your email or your website. I would do your referral link before email, like make sure your link's on there, or a little QR code, little tiny label. So everybody labels their product. Okay. So when I show up to the event, I have my products labeled. Sarah shows up to the event. She has her products labeled. As we are selling stuff, we are marking whose we sold. So that way we know at the end of that event, if we sold $600 worth of Sarah's product and $200 worth of Jesi's product, we have tracked it. Now, Sarah is a smarty pants, and so we did all of that on Square. We would literally have water hand cream Sarah, water hand cream Jesi, and when you're ringing people up, you're just selecting, and that way it's tracking all of it. You can also just do it on paper. You don't have to be that fancy, but I do recommend that if you're using PayPal or Square or Cash App or whatever, that you have some way of managing your inventory, because again, it's going to help you when it comes to figuring out that split at the end of the event. But really, a year later, when you come back to this event, you can look back at what you sold, what scent was the most popular. And the great thing about Align is our products are sticking around. So if you sold 20 water hand creams and 2 of everything else, you know that you need to have probably 30 water hand creams and 6 of everything else, and that you're prepared for that event next time. Okay, at the end of the event, we would then look at what we sold. So let's say we sold $600 of Sarah's product and $200 of my product. That's $800 together. We both want to walk away with $400 in ambassador volume on our account. So we would take the $800, split it in half. She has 400, I have 400. But remember, 600 was her product and only 200 was my product. So I would order $400 of product and 200 of that would go back to Sarah. And I would ask her what she wanted me to order, because we're going to look at what we have left. We're going to look at what events we have coming up. And she's like, oh, we need more clarified. Just order me, 7 clarifies. Done. I still put that order in as the ambassador. Maybe I just direct ship it to her if you're not super local, and I get the sales, I get the commission, I'm working towards my goals, she's getting her product back. That is how we split it when our inventory or our items that were sold were not even. So I'm going to say that again because everyone gets confused on this. And if you have questions or you don't get it, ask Sarah or I. You go into an event, you have $1,000 in inventory. 600 gets sold of Sarah's, 200 gets sold of Jesse's. That's $800 in sales. We take our $800 in money, we split it 50-50, 400 and 400. Sarah reorders 400 for herself. I order 400. 200 goes to Sarah of that 400 that I reorder. 200 I get product back from my next event. We both have $400 in ambassador volume. That's how we did it. Everybody can do it differently, but if you have questions, definitely ask. Okay, what else? Being smart about rolling your inventory into new products, into new events. If you're going to add events to your calendar, and if you're going to add events to your Align business, this is one of your income opportunities at Align is doing events. I would recommend that you look at the long game of inventory. So you don't need to go buy everything all at once. Start small, be really smart about it. Buy the products you know you're going to sell, buy more body, get those hand creams. It's a lower price point. You know, people are going to be more likely to buy that and they can try it right there. They're great for holidays. And then reorder product. This is where I think people don't see the long run benefit and like the potential of events is if you just order product, you go sell it and you keep the cash. It just doesn't keep building momentum and make events as profitable. Obviously, you can do whatever you need to do for your event, but we would always reorder product for our next event so that we were getting that volume, we're getting paid commission on it, and you're earning rewards. So here at Align, you're earning stars. So when you place that $400 reorder, now you've earned stars on it, and stock some of those stars up. And when we have a special on hand creams, and that's your best event seller, you go use your stars to reorder 12 hand creams. Okay, you paid $0 for those hand creams, and when you go sell them at your event for 12, 14, whatever you decide, they're 14, but maybe you do a show special and you sell them for 12, you bought them for $0. Like now you're making more money, you're making more profit, and that helps a lot. So we would always be rolling our inventory into what was coming next. We did have a lull in our event season, probably spring. We had some big summer events and lots of fall events. So in the spring, we didn't have as many events. So maybe I'll reorder that product, and I will then at Christmas, after all of my events are done, after Christmas, maybe I do a special for my VIP group, or I offer cash and carry, or I host my own holiday open house and I invite my community to come shop my cash and carry of what I have left from my events. I know Jenny does this too, because we talked about it the other day on the phone. And then you can take that money and either pay yourself or put it back into events. If you need to buy product and you don't have an event for a long time, that's when you want to be smart about it, right? Maybe you buy, that's when you buy the money, to spend the money to buy 3 red light ones that you can hold back, you have them, and you know that you're kind of like working forward for your next event season. So that is how we really built our event equity, built up our inventory. I never started with a lot of product. I had one 31 large utility tote of product when I started doing events. That was it. And I worked up to doing these big events like the state fair. One year, I think our best year at the fair, we sold like $22,000 worth of product with 3 of us. That's a lot of product. We had to be really smart about that. That didn't happen overnight. We built up our inventory. We used rewards. We made sure that we were paying ourselves back when we were smart about it, so that we never were like having to go buy $7,000 worth of product. Like we built our way up to that. Okay, speaking of large events, look for these. State fairs, women's expos, junior league events. These are much more costly. I highly recommend that you do this with a partner or a couple of people. And I would definitely work your way up to this point. Do not feel like you have to jump into a big event. Honestly, I would also vet that event real hard. So I want to talk to other vendors. I want to see reviews. I would love to see their vendor list from last year. Reach out to people and ask them if there's a unique presenter on there and she has done this event every year for 4 years. Go find her on Facebook and send her a message. Hey, I'm new. I'm thinking about doing, the holiday super show. And I just really wanted to reach out and see if you felt like it's been beneficial to your business. Other vendors are usually really friendly and really helpful, and they're going to be honest about what events are good and not good. Look in your area for a group. I know in Oklahoma, ours is called Vendor Vibes, and it is like where all the direct sales people and all the craft people and all the homemade cup people, shirt people, everyone's in there who goes and does events in our area, and we review events in there. People will tell you, I went to the watermelon festival and it was awesome. It had great traffic. They took really good care of me. I, made my booth rent back, recommend. And then you're going to see someone that says, I went to the fishing festival and it was terrible and there was no one there, no one shopped. It was 1,000 degrees and my tent blew over. Like, take it with a grain of salt, but look for reviews of events so you can make a really smart decision about what is worth your time, and don't be afraid to start small and scale up as you grow. Okay. Packing list, display, a little tiny bit about that. I'm sure we have a packing list somewhere. I think it's actually in Quick Start. Now that I'm thinking of it, there is a packing list for events in Quick Start, so we can make sure you know where to find that. And then for your display, I would just say, keep it clean, keep it simple, match the brand. Okay, minimalist and modern and mid-lux. These are the core parts of a line. So if you show up at an event and you do a country shabby chic, and your products don't match that at all, it's confusing. So make sure that your display is really simple, really clean. And when I say clean, I mean, I don't recommend putting every single product that you have out on the table flat. Jenny has a great video on her display and it's lovely. So like Shanae said, look that up in this group. You just need some height and you need a couple of each thing that you're offering. People shop based on what they perceive. So if they walk up and your booth looks really clean and inviting, that is much more appealing than when it's so busy and it's packed full of stuff that their eye gets overwhelmed. They feel a little frenetic and they walk away because it's too much. I am constantly cleaning tables at events, like get rid of the extra. Even if you have 10 of each hand cream, you don't have to put 10 hand creams out. Like, put 3 out and line them up and make them pretty. And when they walk up and they really love water and it looks like there's only 2 left, they're more likely to buy it right then for your cash and carry than if you have a big bucket full. If you have a bucket full of everything, in their mind, there's plenty, I'll come back, I'm going to go look around, I'll get this on my way out, and then they never do, right? They disappear, they never come back. Sometimes they do, but not very often. So just make sure that your display is clean, it matches the brand, it's eye-catching. Highly recommend doing some sort of giveaway. It does not have to be expensive, but you just need something to use as your lead capture to get people's information. And you want to have some what is it type signage. So a banner, or we loved the foam core boards that you can just order from like CVS or Walgreens, where you can put up a sign, maybe a few signs, what a line is, what kind of products we have, and all the things we don't use. Like, people are going to be scanning all of these booths and you want them to be able to say, oh, a line, I don't know what that is. What is that? Oh, it's Bath Body and Beauty. Oh, they don't use gluten ingredients. That's great because I can't use that. Like, you got to give them some info to look at to understand what you're offering before they're ever going to walk up to your table. Be friendly. Don't be buried on your phone the whole time. This can be hard. I can be guilty of this when it's really slow, but be standing up, engaging, friendly, talkative to people, and inviting them to try something is the easiest thing to do. And hand creams, honestly, are the easiest thing to try. Would you like to try a hand cream? Would you like to try our signature scent? We have 4 different signature scents that align with your sign. What's your sign? If you leave it a little open-ended like that, where they're like, what do you mean, what sign? Like, oh, are you a Gemini? And they're like, oh, like, it starts a conversation that allows you to expand and connect with someone. Okay, I think that's most of what I have. The number one, like all the info, if I can like bring it down to one thing, is you have to collect people's information. You have to have a way to collect people's information. If it's them adding right to your VIP group on their phone, if it's a QR code that connects them to your email list, if it is a sheet that they fill out, if it's collecting their email in Square, there's lots of ways to do it. But if you're going to show up to an event, you're going to pay for an event, you're going to do the work to set up an event, you're going to stand there, you're going to try and sell at the event, and you never collect all these people's information, it's like a huge missed opportunity. And I can tell you right now, from a lot of us who did events for a long time, we were not the best of that in the beginning. And there's a lot of missed opportunity in year 1, 2, 3, and 4 when you're doing events and you're not collecting people's information that you are missing out on, because a lot of people will meet you at an event. They're not going to join, they're not going to buy, but if you have their information and they become a part of your funnel and they're getting your emails, or you're connecting with them on Facebook, or they're in your group, or you're texting them, however you're doing those personal connections, those turn into customers and team members years later. And I have met some of my best customers, some of my best teammates at events, and it wasn't always that day. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't that day that they turned into something magical. Maybe they bought a product and they turned into a customer who bought hundreds of dollars of product for me for years. Or maybe they just got my card and they watched my email and they watched me on Facebook and they sat in my group for 4 years before they joined my team and turned into a really successful leader. Events really are the best of short-term and long-term wrapped into one. So if you go into them with the right mindset and the right expectations, and you're willing to play the short game with some cash and carry and friendly and selling and connections and finding the silver lining, and the long game, collecting information, building your funnel, building your number of connections, customers, they can be a really beneficial, huge part of your business. But that is up to you, how you want to use them in your business. So lots of info. I knew I would take an hour. And like I said, we are all happy to answer questions. Jenny Serta's great at events. Darlene has done a ton of events. Katie Robinson's done a ton of events. Shalene's done lots of events. Sarah and I have done lots of events. Ask your questions here so that this video becomes a resource that people can come back to and learn from over and over and over again. So I hope that you guys are having an awesome week. I'm sure no one's going to hear this announcement at the very end because this has been so long, but today, the 6th, is the last day to earn your free water, scalp, and body scrub that is coming later this month. So when you have $250 in ambassador volume by today, then you earn your coupon code for your free water, scalp, and body scrub when it releases later this month. I hope that you guys have an awesome week. Ask your questions, and we will talk soon. Bye.